Hello friends and welcome to my video today. I'm going to be talking about smutty, spicy, straight porn books. With that being said, one warning: if you are my mother or my father, please do not watch this video. Please do not watch this video. Thank you. Second, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps my channel. I enjoy making these videos. I upload every Tuesday, but this video is going to be different. This is going to be on Valentine's Day because I specifically recorded this video for a Valentine's Day edition, which is okay. So I did one eye off camera because I am following someone else's tutorial. I think her name is Sarah. I'm just gonna leave the video down below, but she recreated this from Kylie's, I think, Freddy Krueger launch or something like that. So I just really liked it and was inspired to recreate it myself. And in her video, I don't have the same palettes that she's using, so I'm just improvising and using my own palettes. So I'm mainly using the Whatever Color Pop palette. I've spoken about this palette before. I absolutely love it. I'm gonna go in with that color copycat. All over my lip. This month I read a lot of spicy, smutty books. Definitely gonna need to scrub my brain out once I am done with this video because I need a break. Like, I'm gonna take a break off all this smut reading that I've done in the last 2 to 3 weeks. I did it specifically for this video because I'm gonna upload this on Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Let me know down below how you're celebrating today. Are you going out with your significant other, having a Galentine with just all your girls? So just let me know down below. I wrote down a lot of my thoughts on these books, but I also want to go through my Goodreads because I feel like that's the order I read the spicy books in. Yes, it is. Okay, I've spoken about this series quite a few times on my channel. In my last spicy book videos, I brought up this series, and in every time like I finished one and I did a wrap up, I spoke about each book. So this is the Girl Meets Duke series. This is my first historical romance series that I finished. If you want spice but you also like historical romance or Duke stories, I would 100% recommend this series. The first one, as I've said before, is obviously my favorite. This is the Duchess deal. It's about a scarred hero and a heroine, and he needs an heir, so she marries him because she kind of needs like money and things to help a friend. Like, she's not really looking to be a duchess, but she takes the deal because there's a lot of benefits to her, and they end up building a relationship, which is super cute. So I'm my favorite. The Governess Games, it was a good story too. You meet all of the characters in the rest of these books in the first book, and then you follow them throughout, so that is super cute. And then the Wallflower Wager is the most recent one that I read. Out of all the books in this series, I feel like this one had the most spice and smuttiness, and I'm just gonna carve out a crease for myself with the color Bad Guy. Yeah, the third book, the Wallflower Wager, in my opinion, had the most spice and smuttiness in that series. Also, I felt like the heroine was the initiator. Now, if you never read a historical romance, I do believe that The Girl Meets Duke is a good series to get started and introduced to historical romances. I didn't know if I was a fan of historical romances until I started reading them, and now I try to read about one a month because I love the Duke story. It's mainly the most popular subject that I find happens in historical romances, but I love me a good Duke, so I do not mind that at all. And I'm just going in with that same color Bad Guy and just blending it out on this line that I created. I just briefly wanted to mention these because I know historical romances sound like it could be a boring genre, but it really isn't. It's actually a really cute romance, spicy. So don't sleep on historical romances. So this, I just wanted to give an honorary mention. I'm gonna have the videos where I speak about these individual books in depth in my description down below in case you guys are interested in checking these out. But now to like the real smutty books that you're here to hear about. Okay, so the first book I'm gonna speak about is also a series, and I've read 1 and 2 so far. The first one is Dipped in Holly by Dana Isley. I believe that's how to say her name. And for February, Valentine's Day, she came out with Claimed by Cupid. I'm pretty sure I spoke about her first book, Dipped in Holly, when I read it because it came out around Christmas. And that was a really good, spicy book. You can read the 2 books as a standalone, but I wouldn't recommend it because the second book is a continuation of Nick and Holly's story, and they meet and develop their relationship in the first book. So you kind of will be a little bit lost if you don't know how like they met, but it's fine because it's just a smutty read, so you're literally just gonna be reading about sex. But in the first book, Dipped in Holly, it's about Nick and Holly, and they meet when Holly is being dumped. She's at a bar and her boyfriend is breaking up with her. He's an asshole, I know. And Nick sees this, so Nick comes to kind of like her rescue and is trying to help her feel better about her situation. So they obviously develop a spark, and thing leads to another, and there's like candy canes involved, there's Christmas lights involved. Really creative. I liked it. I think I gave it 4 or 5 stars. And it was a really short read. I think it was like 160 pages. And it ends with them starting a relationship, so you kind of want to see where they go from there. So then the second book is about the continuation of Nick and Holly's relationship, and really like these books don't have any major plot in it. It's literally just a porn book. I want you guys to think like it's gonna be like this epic story, because it's not. It's just straight what it is. It's a smut read. It's a good time. You and your partner are into reading together. If you're alone on Valentine's Day, great book to pick up. Let me see if I wrote any notes on this. Yeah, so I didn't write any real notes on this book because it was a really short read. I think this one was even less than Dipped in Holly. Like this was 80 pages. I think it's under 100 pages if I'm not mistaken. I'm just gonna cut my crease. But yeah, this book was like 80 pages, so it was a super quick read. I obviously read it in one sitting. Oh, now I remember this book. Okay, because I'm like sitting here trying to remember this book because I just read so many spicy books. Which I opened my eyes and I have like concealer on my lids, but that's fine. Yes, okay. I'm all over the place. Sorry. Now I 100% remember this book. I remember this book because I think they go out for something. I think it's Valentine's Day. I'm not 100% sure. And Nick got Holly like that, like I'm not 100% sure. I think it's like vibrating underwear, or if not, it's vibrating underwear, then it's like a vibrator that you like wear inside you while you're out in public and your partner controls it. And I just thought that that was so creative and amazing in this book. Like, I'm reading this book just for what it is. Like, I'm not looking for a complex story. I'm not looking for like, you know, I don't want to feel like I have to justify why I'm reading porn in a book. I'm reading porn in a book because I want to read porn in a book, okay? So I loved that scene in this book. Like, that scene really stood out to me. And I like when books like show creative things partners can do to like spice up their life, because it's interesting. Like, you know, the next color I'm gonna go on all over my lid is with this one right here from the Nude Mood palette, and it's Bluffin'. And then in the middle I'm gonna put Wink Wink. With Bluffin', I'm just gonna take this flat brush and just pat it in. With Wink Wink, I'm also gonna take a flat brush and just tap it right in the middle to get some shimmer going on. And then just on the outer corner, I'm gonna go back in with that color Bad Guy and just stamp it out right in here. Okay, so the next 2 books I'm gonna talk about are from the Wicked Villain series, and I speak so much about this series. I love this series so much, so I finished Aware the Opponent and The Beast. So I'm going to speak about Aware the Opponent first. The Wicked Villain series is just like a loosely based story on Disney's princesses slash villains. So I'm gonna pop off real quick and just do my lashes, and then I'm gonna come back and speak about A Worthy Opponent. Okay, so A Worthy Opponent is the third book in the Wicked Villain series. As my primer, I'm gonna go in with this Good Molecules silicone free priming moisturizer. This book out of the Wicked Villain series was not my favorite. I loved book 1 with Jafar and Jasmine. I loved book 2 with Meg, Hercules, and Hades. I was pretty disappointed when I got to book 3. Now, each of these books can be read as a standalone, but again, I don't recommend it because in the next book, they always reference kind of the couple from the previous book, and I just have a better reading experience when I know the couple and their history that is being referenced. So again, you can read it as a standalone, you can skip a few books, read it out of order, but I recommend following the order. I said in this book it is about Hook and Tinkerbell, and you kind of meet Tinkerbell in the first 2 books before you get to her book. The foundation I'm going to use is the Beauty Blender Bounce Foundation, and I'm just gonna spray my beauty blender with some setting spray. So like I said, this book has Tink in it. This is like her book, and you meet her in the first 2 books, so you kind of have an idea of her character. She's kind of like the stylist slash seamstress for everyone in this series. So she's always there if someone needs an outfit. They call her. So she kind of has a business of her own like that on the side. In her book, the 3rd book here, she lives in the underworld, and the underworld right now is run by Hades, which is kind of a neutral territories for all the surrounding territories. So no one wars in Hades area, and there's like a rule, like everybody just respects, and there's no violence or anything like that going on. So her contract with Hades is coming up, because what Hades normally does is he makes deals with people when he helps them out. So to like repay him, he'll have them contracted under him for a while. So her contract is coming to an end, which she's kind of nervous about because she kind of has a dark history with Peter Pan, and she's running from him. So she used her time that she was under Hades to kind of build her life a little bit and stay away from him. She did not want to be set free because, you know, she's just fearful for going back in the real world and Peter getting to her. She's been using her time under Hades just healing and rebuilding from her abusive relationship with Peter. But once your debt is paid for with Hades, kind of just like, you know, kind of kicks you out, like you gotta figure it out. As Tinkerbell is moving out, she does run into Peter Pan, where he kind of threatens her. So to kind of save herself, Hook has offered to marry her and give her his protection. So she kind of has no choice but to agree to that marriage. And she's not thrilled to accept the marriage because obviously everything she went through, she just doesn't have trust in people. But Hook really cares about her. He really wants to show her better and how he can give her a better life. And he just wants to protect her because he really does care for her. So that was cute in the book, but it really wasn't my favorite. Like, I really don't know why I just didn't care for Hook and Tink's relationship. The best part of this book was just the straight spice smut scenes. But outside of that, I really didn't like the relationship between Hook and Tinkerbell. I found the relationship to be kind of flat, and even to like when it was just like spicy scenes of them two, like I really didn't care about it. Like, but when it was like group, then I cared. Like, then I was into it, then I loved it. Not like me, because in the first book when it was just Jasmine and Jafar, like I was for that, loved that. And like I could tell like this, like I was not gonna like this story because I had started this back in November and I just recently finished it, and I finished it only because I had this video to do, not because I genuinely wanted to finish it. It would have probably said unfinished if it was up to me. So then the next book I read in the series, which is a complete 180, like I absolutely love this book, it's gonna be a 5-star for me, is The Beast by Katie Roberts. I have my bookmark still in here because I got like 10 pages left and then I'm done. Let me just toss it to the back. Now this one is so good. I have my notes for this one on my phone, so I just want to check it out. So this one I absolutely love. It's about Beast, Belle, and Gaston. I think it's my favorite one so far in this Wicked Villains series. Like, if you only want to read one out of the series, then just literally just jump straight into this one. So this is about Beast, Gaston, and Belle. Okay, so Beast and Gaston have this rivalry. They do not like each other whatsoever, but they do scene together. And if you don't know what scening means, I'm going to explain it. It just means that they engage in sexual relations together with other groups of people, but they hate each other. They'll just scene, so they'll do their scene and then they will like hate each other, give each other the side eye and not speak to each other. Absolutely love that. They are both scarred by Belle. So they used to live in Belle's territory. I kind of forgot what territory they lived in, but they used to live in Belle's territory and be generals for her father. So her father ends up passing away in this book, and Gaston and the Beast are heartbroken, not only because Belle dumped both of them, but also because they kind of lost like the only father figures that they had in their life, which is Belle's father. I think his name is Orsino. Beast and Gaston end up going to the underworld and living under Hades for a while. Now this is really bad because the head of, obviously Belle's father passed away, so he was the head of the territory. So now that he's gone, other people can try to come in and invade their territory, especially if they don't have their top two generals to show that they're united and they're still like a strong front. Belle is tasked to go and bring back Beast and Gaston so that the territory can be saved, because I think it's like the Sea Witch, which she's the next book. I gotta pick it up because I really want to finish the series. But the Sea Witch is trying to invade because she sees like weakness right now. But like I said, both Beast and Gaston are scorned by Belle because when her father was alive, she was kind of dating both of them, but they both knew that she was dating both of them because they told her like, hey, we're both in love with you, we both want to be with you, we'll just date you until you can make a decision. But she was never able to make that decision, so they both ended up getting heartbroken. I think Gaston proposed to Belle and she said no, so he walked away, and then Belle broke up with Beast, so obviously he walked away. So when they both see her, they're completely confused. They're like, one, Belle, like, what are you doing here? Like, you're above this place. And two, they're like, what are you doing? Like, you broke our hearts. What are you doing chasing after us? She tells them that she needs them back at their territory because, you know, she doesn't want the territory to seem weak and people can think that they can invade. And Beast and Gaston are like, no. But then Beast comes up with an idea and he's like, you know what? I have an idea. If you want to get us back, we'll come back. But for 2 weeks, you need to kind of be like our slave, like our sex slave, and do whatever we want, whenever we want. Like, you just need to 100% submit to us. So she says yes because she wants to save her territory, but also she really does care about both Beast and Gaston. Like, she kind of misses both of them and she regrets that she wasn't able to make a choice between the two of them. And I think it was Beast who came up with the plan. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was Beast. And Gaston is completely confused. He's like, well, this girl broke her heart. What are you doing? Why are you like offering her all this stuff? And he just literally goes along with the plan. So I absolutely love the storyline. I loved reading about them grappling with their emotions, like how this person like burned them once and like they're feeling those feelings again and they don't want to be burned again, so they're really closed off. But I really liked in this book that they promised that they would 100% always be honest with each other regardless of what the honesty is. Now, what I also love about this book is Beast and Gaston's relationship. Like I said it before, they themselves start off as enemies. They absolutely hate each other. They talk about how they hate each other, can't stand each other. They tell each other like, I hate you. But it's crazy how like it kind of develops and changes into something that they don't even understand, and they become confused about their feelings for each other. And while they're like both being involved with Val now, they kind of start building a relationship together, realizing that they're both going through the same thing. Like they're with this over the same person. Like they're both dealing with the same feelings. So that kind of brings them close, and I really like that in this book. And I know like this is so unrealistic because obviously like a sex slave and a sex club, like unrealistic, and it's all exaggerated for the point of telling a story, but like I felt like underneath there were like real emotional things spoken about, which I enjoyed. Like even though this is a smutty, spicy book, like you're talking about like flawed characters with insecurities, just searching for love. Like I thought it was everything I want in a smut book and more. One of my favorite parts in this book isn't even like a scene part. It's actually when, like I told you, they always promise to be 100% honest with each other. Belle and Gaston were fighting because Gaston in this story has a really hard time coming to terms with his feelings, and like he's asking her like, what is your issue? Like why are you upset? Like what is going on? Obviously like besides the whole being held against her will as a sex slave. And she's not being held against her will, I'm exaggerating. She has a safe word, and if she uses it, she can go home. Yeah, so they're fighting, and she is upset with him, and she tells him because she's like, you literally lied to me throughout our whole relationship. Like the whole time we were together, you lied to me. You hid this side of you because obviously like now he's part of Hades' sex club, and he does group stuff, and he does guy stuff, and you know, with her he was very vanilla, and like I just feel like that's so relatable. Like obviously again extreme, but it's just like sometimes we can hold ourselves back in relationships and give a version that we think our partners want, and that's not really a version of ourselves. So I really love that in this book. Oh yes, okay, so I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna think about keeping it in this video. I'm not 100% sure, but this is what she says to him exactly. She's like, you both lied to me the entire time we were dating. You held yourselves back. You presented me with one side of yourself and nothing more. You kept this from me. You both decided you knew what I needed. You didn't stop to talk to me about it, not once. You touched me like I was some unbreakable precious thing because you knew best. You were starving me, and neither of you cared because all that mattered was playing Prince Charming to the princess you put on a pedestal. You can hate me for not being able to choose, but how am I supposed to make a choice when neither of you gave me anything approximating an honest relationship? And I felt like that was so real. Like that was 100% real, relatable. Go off, queen. Now, the next book I read in my smutty marathon was The Dare, and I am 100% sure I got this recommendation from More to Mary. I know I keep talking about her. I absolutely love her. I'm pretty sure I got this recommendation. I didn't realize that this book would be so short. Like, this only had like 125 pages. This is a really short read. Another book I really enjoyed. I gave this a 4-star. It would have been a 5-star if there wasn't like bodily fluids involved, and like when I say that I mean like there's like a part of like spitting and a little bit of blood, and I was just like, you know what, that I can't get behind. But it was still a really interesting read because I know I wrote about this book. So The Dare is a straight porn book. Loved every minute of reading it. So this book is about Jessica and Mason, and Jessica was like the cheerleading captain, prom queen of her high school, and Mason was like that gothic kid that, you know, people would normally call like a freak and stuff in school. They're both currently at a Halloween party that one of their high school friends is throwing. Jessica sees Mason at the party, And she's surprised to see Mason at the party because he really wasn't he wasn't anyone that someone would invite to a party, so she's kind of surprised to see him there. The book starts off with Mason challenging Jessica to a game of beer pong. Yes, beer pong. To a game of beer pong, and there's a twist to this game. Like, instead of just getting balls in a cup, some of the cups are gonna have dares written on them, and if you land a ball in a cup with a dare, then you have to do what the other person dares you to do. So in this game, Mason ends up beating Jessica, and Jessica is super competitive, so obviously she takes on the game against Mason, but like I said, she ends up losing, and he ends up taking this opportunity to like humiliate her for what she did to him in high school. And he's able to do that by making the final dare he gets in for her to be his slave for the rest of the day. And like with that win from that game, he's like hell-bent on getting his revenge on everything she put him through in high school. Now, like I said, this is a super spicy read. I enjoyed it. It is humiliation kink, so if you do not like that, do not read this book. There's like very few kinks that I mind, so a book like this is right up my alley. I also loved that it was like the unpopular goth kid was like getting his revenge on like the pretty cheerleader. Like, I thought that was super hot, super steamy. And like I said before, this is a degradation, humiliation kink, so I enjoyed it. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. With that information, you can choose to read it, you can choose to not read it. The last book I'm going to speak about in my spicy smut recommendations is The Initiation. This is the first book in the Filthy Rich American series. Now, I really enjoyed this series. I felt like it had potential to be better, which I'm going to speak about, but I really did overall enjoy this book, so I am excited to continue the series. So this story is about Marist and Royce. Royce is from a powerful financial company. He's from the Hales. In the beginning of the book, you're led to believe that Marist's sister is supposed to get engaged to Royce and get married into the Hale family. Now, this book, it has smut and spice in it, but it's not a straight smut spice book, so there is like plot and character development and all that in this book. From the beginning, you're under the impression that Marist's sister is supposed to get engaged to Royce, but Royce and Marist kind of have this thing, and you kind of see it from the beginning of the story. It literally starts off with like Marist and like Royce hooking up. Marist's sister ends up not being able to get engaged to Royce because a situation happens. So even though Marist is the younger sister, she has to step up and save her family, marry into the Hales to save her family from financial ruin because they're actually going broke. And Marist isn't like against this engagement 100% because she, like I told you, her and Royce kind of have this thing and it's kind of developing, so she's okay with going forward with the engagement. So throughout the book, you see her getting ready for her wedding, and also because Royce is part of the Hale company, he is a member of the board, and not just anyone can marry into the Hale, or whoever's on the board, whoever gets married, their wife needs to go through an interview and an initiation process to become the significant other's wife. So the board kind of needs to approve on the wives of the other board members. So I like the beginning of this book where Marist and Royce's relationship was kind of a secret, because kind of got the feeling that Royce really cared about Marist, and it was like super interesting that they had like that forbidden thing going on. In the story, it's kind of like insta-lovey because Marist was always under the impression that Royce hated her, and then the moment he's like, I don't hate you, she's like, oh my god, I love you. Like, you know, like it was kind of insta-lovey, but I didn't mind that. I kind of like insta-lovey. I'm a hopeless romantic. The story had so much potential to be a good story, like an amazing story, because you kind of get like little tidbits that they were enemies in the past, but then you don't really see that. Like, it's just because like Marist said it, like, oh, I always thought he hated me, or oh, he like said this one mean thing this one time, and it's like, that's not really enemies. Like, no one really hates you if they just say like they hate your shoes that one day. Like, so I just felt like that the characters in this book could have been developed 100% more. They kind of felt a little flat for me, but I am going to continue the series and I hope that character development really starts to grow. And I don't know if it's because like Mary's the younger sister, so she's supposed to be a knave or whatever, but she literally goes with whatever Royce tells her. Like, she just agrees to everything he says. She doesn't combat him or have an opinion of her own. Just literally follows his lead, and it's good storyline if they're trying to portray that innocent character. Then I kind of get it, and she is kind of innocent, so that's why I'm like iffy. Like, I'm on the fence. Like, maybe I am okay with it because maybe she is a little naive, but maybe she needs to be a little stronger and speak up for herself. This book is like really fast paced. Like, I feel like whenever a good scene is going, like when there could be a connection built deeper or character developed more, it just moves on. Like, and it's like, you could have just taken that like extra page or two and just developed that scene and given that character more depth, or their connection more depth. So I was just looking for a little bit more of that, and because of that, like, the relationship always felt superficial. Like, they were always just speaking about like each other's looks, and I just felt like there was nothing like Royce did for Maris that she like really liked him, or that she did for him. I just felt like their relationship was really superficial. Like, there was no depth or deep connection for one nor the other. I know like this is a hard task for people in some books, but this book does have cheating in it. So if you do not like cheating, do not read this book. I feel like they're trying to build Maris to be a strong heroine that won't let herself be used, but in this book she gets used a lot. And like, I'm okay with a girl being used if she's in control of the people using her, but I feel like she's not even in control of that in this book. So I really hope she develops as a character in the second book. Like, I'm really looking for a little bit more strength from her coming forward. But again, like I said, this is more of not a straight porn book. This is more of a plot. It does lead straight into the second storyline, the second book storyline, so I'm excited to start that. So I'll let you guys know what I think about this series once I'm done with that. That's the end of my smutty book recommendation. This is the makeup look we came up with today, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time.